Bill. We were standing out front just a little bit ago, and I told you when the Redskins get here, take off that hat. Right? I said that, right? I said take off that. And you got.
That's my man, though. That's my man.
Listen. Tell him. Talk to this guy, kid. Tell him how disrespectful that is, bro.
That hurts, yeah, you gotta flip it around or something.
Live from the district. 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 Live from the district.
Fellas, I have a confession. So we were going hard, pause, on Bill for wearing the Raiders hat. I have a confession to make. When I was a young kid, leaving Brooklyn, New York, my mother moved us straight to Washington State, to Tacoma, Seattle. And I lived there like probably the first 5 or 6 years of my life. And we know who the dominant team was during that period. It was the Oakland Raiders. My very first team that I gravitated to and loved was the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah. No, look. Actually, I was a fan of the Raiders too. So,
Come on, man. Lyle Alzado.
Because they were hardcore, right? They
Ken
were nasty,
Stabler.
they were dirty.
They were the bad guys.
They were the bad guys. And so it's like, it was between that. And I'm from Texas. John's from Texas. Is either that or the Cowboys. And
Oh, you can't go there.
I was there.
You can't go there.
I was a fan. You live in Texas. You got
Is that a confession? You were a fan of the Cowboys?
Yeah, man. I met Too Tall Jones about a couple of years ago, and I was like a little schoolgirl. I was like, can I shake your hand? I was like, oh, he's like,
since
dude.
we
man.
are having confessions here, I am an honorary Washington Commander because I didn't play for them. I played against them. And when I did play against them, I was one of the better receivers they had. So,
Okay.
That's
He's saying because he made so many interceptions.
so growing up in Texas, I loved the Dallas Cowboys growing up, and then I hated them for like 30 years.
Man, wow, man. There's so much.
Here, man.
So Ted.
So they might kick us out too.
Hold on. So, real quick, I know Ted's in the middle of us, but in Texas, at least I know in my household, if the Cowboys lost, we didn't eat dinner that night. That's how diehard fans are in Texas.
I can't tell that you lost any damn meals, your big ass.
That's because they won that winning streak when I was growing up.
Oh, you was eating good.
When they played the Commanders or the Redskins back then, that was something that's special. So this is all things Commanders. And
Right, but
we're talking.
But listen, but you
here.
guys were Redskins.
Yeah.
Okay, so that
Well, actually, I'm kind of a chocolate brown skin, but sorry, tailgate Ted, man.
So I grew up here. So I mean, Washington all the way for me. Never rooted for anything less. It took me 9 years to make sure my wife didn't root for anything less, and then I finally found out and knew she was the one. So, like you said, his girl.
He said he never rooted for anything less.
Well, you know what I mean. But this is my team.
What an icebreaker. Okay, John Booty,
Yes.
Tailgate Ted. My good friend Ken Harvey, we were on the show together at Fox 5 for a little bit. Of course, you see me and Ted on covering the Commanders at Fox 5 whenever some stuff is happening. And there's some stuff happening right now, and I plan on covering all things Commanders on this segment that we're recording live from Ben's Chili Bowl, live from the district on U Street. Okay, so fellas, there's a lot to cover, man. I want to talk about this latest move, their situation that they're saying now that Washington, D.C. has gone through the measures that it's going to take for them to be able to clear the way for the possibility,
yes.
John, the possibility of the Washington Commanders coming back to the grounds of RFK Stadium. What do you think about that?
Well,
you played there too, right?
Yep, yes, I have, and that's a great place to play, and it's a home field advantage back in the day for the Washington Redskins, now the Commanders. Now, if they can get back there, it'd be great. Ken and I, we do a lot of work with the National Football League for the Congressional Football Game, and we've been in communication with the National Football League policy office here in D.C. But they've been going through, so they have to go through Congress, go through these hearings in Congress, and from what I understand now, things are passing through. So that would be a plus. I mean, get back to DC. You'll see the players walking around in DC and start doing more stuff in DC if they're playing here and they're living around the Washington RFK area, which would be a great thing, don't you think?
Oh, definitely.
Yes. So, you got to keep the gas. You got to keep your foot on the pedal, on the gas. You just got to keep making those steps, talking to the political folks here in the district, and the surrounding area. Where would you like to have it? The central place. You got the metro leads right up to it. So you got all that right there. So going back getting back to RFK campus would be fantastic for the Washington Commanders.
Ted, we've talked about this several times.
Oh, yeah.
Your thoughts on the possibility of the Commanders coming to the grounds of RFK Stadium?
It's the team's spiritual home. I believe Josh Harris said that when he came over and took over the team. I mean, great to have it back here. You think about the Washington franchise, you think of RFK, you think of the stand shaking, jumping up and down, you think of those playoff games, you think of the seat cushions flying, and RFK is the backdrop for all of that. So this is the first step in that happening. We just need to see if DC City Council is going to get on the same page as the House and allow that land to actually be used for a stadium. That to me is the next step.
Ken, you played at RFK. Talk to me about how special this place is to you.
Well, I mean, it's definitely special. And then if you look at what everybody said here, but then you look at the title of the team, it's still Washington, whatever, So it's a Washington, and it would make sense to try to be back in Washington. Here are the things that I think have been some issues that they may or may not be there, right? One is space. What can you do with the space? It doesn't have as much space as some of these other new areas, and it's not much area to build around, but it has enough space to do a lot with, and a lot of teams are doing things vertically. I think it would be great to be there. When I played, it was like when you walked around in DC, you felt like you were part of the community. Everyone knew your name. People respected you. You hopefully respected people. I think it would be a boom to that area in D.C. if the team stays, if it goes back to Washington, especially with the Taylor Jones's teams moving out. I think it would be a big boom to that area. So, for me, it was fun. It was like a dream. But I'm always like, it's not so much where you're at. It's the team makes the attitude. It's like you can't give somebody a different jersey number, but if that person's a baller, everybody's going to start wearing the new number that that person's wearing because he's a baller. And the same thing with the team is if the team is balling, I don't care where they're at. I'm not, they're not paying me one way or another. I think it would be great to be back in D.C. because of the memories, but I also think that the team has to start fulfilling their part in playing the ball.
Let's switch gears and talk about the coaching situation with the Washington Commanders. We know that we have new coaches now. Dan Quinn came over from Dallas. I didn't like that. Me and Ted went back and forth on Fox 5 about that. And then we have Witt now. We see, what's his name? Kingsbury came over as well. And it looks like our coaching is in place, man. John Booty, I want to start with you, man. Okay. Are you okay with the moves that the Washington Commanders and Josh have made to bring the new coaching squad into the organization?
I like Dan Quinn. You want to steal somebody who's been a nemesis to you from the conference, right? So the NFC East, you take away.
He came from Dallas, bro.
But you take away from.
He came from the Cowgirls, bro.
I know. But you take away something from the Cowboys, and so that's a plus. And he knows about the Cowboys' offensive system. He knows how to what makes those guys tick.
Okay.
So you take that from him. Now, with Kingsbury, he's like the quarterback whisperer, to Mahomes in college, Johnny Manziel in college, Kyler Murray, his first year with the Cardinals. He knows how to get the best out of them, the quarterbacks, the young quarterbacks. And so, but again, like Andy Reid said, it starts up front, right? You need an offensive line. So you get your offensive line coach, you get to be one of those, who was that guy, Joe Bugle? He was a Hogs coach back in the day. So you need that Hog type mentality. So hopefully they have that coach in that. You got Ken Norton Jr., who came in the league the same time Ken and I came in the league in 1988, who's the linebackers coach. So you got a mesh of, you said it earlier, 100 years of coaching.
100 years of NFL professional coaching.
Yes. So these guys been there, done that. So now just building that environment, building that chemistry, building that winning culture, like they used to have back in the day. So that's why they got to go back to RFK.
Okay,
I made
Ted,
a rhyme there.
fire away, because I already know you with it, man. How you feeling about the coaching?
To me, fans and people that were upset are upset for two reasons. We were told that we should want Ben Johnson because everyone thought he's the next hottest commodity out there, but he wasn't ready to be a coach. He wasn't ready to take that step, and we can't force him to take that job. Sometimes you want something, but you don't get it, but that's actually what you needed. And I feel that Dan Quinn is what we need here as a franchise. The man has done it before. He's made it to the Super Bowl. He has turned around a Dallas team that had a horrible defense and has made them lead the league in turnovers in how many years? Talk about stealing from your opponent. The Cowboys have had 12 wins in a row the past 3 seasons, but have been kicked out the playoffs the first year. They kill us how many times? So to now be able to know what that offense is strong at, you've got to keep up with the Joneses in your division. Now we're stealing from them. The fact that Dan Quinn is loved by so many, he has built just a plethora of talent from his coaching staff. Half of them have actually been players before. So who's going to learn from Ken Norton Jr.? Jamin Davis. I mean, you've got so much talent in the system, and he knew the mistake he made in Atlanta. When Kyle Shanahan got poached from that staff, at that point, he didn't have anyone to fill those shoes. He has other coaches now that have experience that can fill in if Kingsbury does go someplace. But you know what? I'd be happy if a coach got poached from our staff because that means we're in the playoffs and we're doing something good. So let's bring it.
Okay, Ken, weigh in.
The guys kind of said it all, but I think you got a coach that won, like you said. He turned the Dallas's defense around. And so you want a coach that's going to be able to turn something around, that has the ability to turn a team around. 2, you got enough coaches where it's not a power play where one coach is trying to control everything. I think you have a spread of wealth of knowledge and talent that can take guys in their individual position and make a change. What I did like was Witt when he said, if you're looking at film, after your team has been losing 3 or 4 games, and all of a sudden you're spending more time in the film room, then it's too late. That's the attitude you want a defensive coach to say, no, you got to do it now. He's like, if you're not going to be with the team and the right attitude and you're willing to hit and you're willing to lay the wood to somebody, then maybe this is not the team for you. He's saying it already. Get ready to work hard. Get ready to sweat. Get ready to run to the ball. And that's the attitude you got to have in comparison to the beginning of last year when the rumors went around where you heard the team was complaining that practice was too hard. Well, you got the result of practice being too hard is having a losing season. So I think it's a good group of guys together, and I think you could create a winning team because even though we lost all those games last year, we still have talent on the team. It's just underutilized talent and talent not pushed to be as best it could be.
I would agree with you on the talent. We got plenty of talent. We need to shore up the offensive line, as John has mentioned earlier. But one thing that I want to ask you both, John and also Ken, is this. Have you ever been in a situation where your coach got let go and then a new regime of coaches came in talking about building a new culture? From a player perspective, how was that for you, and what happened with that situation with you? We'll start with John.
Okay, I do remember when I was playing for the New York Jets back in the day, and we had Joe Walton as our head coach, and Bruce Kozlik came in as the new coach, and he was wanting to build a new culture. Jets was not that good back then, but bringing a new coach as a player. Pete Carroll was my defensive coordinator. Pete Carroll took the Seattle Seahawks to the Super Bowl.
Right.
So he was younger at the time, but he brought in a mentality of, listen, we're gonna hustle. We had a saying on defense especially, don't meet me at the ball, don't meet me there, beat me there. So you got to have that mentality of, hey, I'm gonna be the first to the ball to make some type of play. On offense, I'm gonna utilize my weapons. And as a player, it starts during the OTAs. As soon as we learned there's a new coaching staff coming in, we knew right then and there, we're all on shaky grounds as a vet.
Right, you trying out, bro.
Yes, we really trying out again. So we got to come in there from day one. As soon as we hear that the new coaching staff coming in, I need to learn more about this guy who's coming in. And I got to fix my attitude that I am a competitor, that I'm a professional, that I can adapt to any situation. And that's what these guys are going to have to do. They got to buy into the coaching staff, culture. They got to buy into their schemes. They got to buy into their long-term plan, short-term and long-term plan. Got to look at their goals, what they want to do, starting in the OTAs. OTAs, get in the best shape possible. When you have those mental meetings, be the smartest guy in the room. Ask questions because you're a professional, and then coach yourself when you're not being coached. That's the mentality I took when I was with the Jets and other teams to make myself have some longevity in the league. My goal, and the team ultimate goal is to what? Win the Super Bowl. But you got to start somewhere. So as a player, your goal is to go in and say, it's a new guy. We all are rookies again.
And it's not so much, if you don't buy into it, a good coaching staff is going to get rid of you.
Right, you out of there,
because
bro.
right now they're looking at saying, this is our mentality, and they're trying to set the tone for the team. And no one's a superstar. It's like John said, everyone's trying out, and this is your chance to create a new spot for yourself. They have the highlight, tapes, and they're looking at guys, and they already got guys who they like or think that they're going to be whatever, but you got to still show up and prove that you're that guy. If not, they're going to get rid of you. And that's the thing is what happens with most new transitions of teams. Coaches come in, and they already kind of have in mind who they want to keep. It's your job to say either you're smart in keeping me, or it's your job to say, hey man, don't overlook me because I'm a baller and I'm going to be part of this team. Because they're going to get rid of guys because they already have in mind what their coach is going to be. And from what I can see, their culture is going to be, we're going to bust our butt to make things happen on defense. We're going to play hard. We're going to be aggressive. On offense, we're going to be smart. We're going to have a good offensive line. The good thing with this is that you see it starts from the top down, where sometimes it's just a coach, just a turnover, and you got the same ownership or whatever. You see it from the top down that the ownership is saying, well, we're willing to say we don't know football, so we're going to go out and get people who do know football to be the very best that we can be.
And also, on the same point, these new coaches that are coming in, they are talking to the old coaches. So they're going to learn from the old coaches who has it, who wants it, who's a team player, who somewhat can be a cancer to the team. So they doing those exit strategies or exit interviews with the old coaches because they want to learn about the personality that they're coming into.
Tailgate Ted, don't come in here out of shape, man. This is about winning. You better come here ready.
Well, I mean, they kept the Martys on staff. So you still have Marty Herney and Martin Mayhew that are here that got a chance to see what these players did prior and can still give that feedback to let these coaches know,
Very
hey,
good
maybe
point.
this guy
Very good
fits this system
point.
and that system.
That goes just straight to what John just said.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So now let me ask you this. And I'll tell you this, Ted. We haven't had a chance to have this conversation. I'm cool now with Dan Quinn.
Okay.
It's official.
I was a little worried for a little bit, man.
I'm okay with you, Dan. I need you to do it though. I need some wins, man. We got to get to the playoffs. So, Ted, what do you think it's going to take for us to have a winning season here? And how long do you think it's going to take for us to be able to get into a position to be in the playoffs with the Commanders under the Dan Quinn regime?
I think fans need to be patient. Not every team's going to be like the Houston Texans, where you draft C.J. Stroud.
Why not, Ted? Why not?
Because we have a lot of holes on this team that need to be filled. Just realistically looking at it, I mean, it's a very porous roster, in my opinion, from an outsider looking in. Now, we also don't know what type of system they're going to do. The good thing is, Cliff Kingsbury was asked about, are you going to run the air raid system? What type of system are you going to look at? And he said, he didn't specify the actual offense. So I feel that Ron Rivera and his coaching staff tried to fit a square peg into a round hole with their players. I feel that this staff is going to find out their players' strengths and then adapt their system to it. Similar to what Coach Gibbs did back in the day, he came in here with Eric Coryell and he lost 5 games straight. Threw that book out the window and then just completely changed it up to the strengths of his team. So it's going to take some time for these coaches. You talk about OTAs, you talk about minicamp. It's going to take some time because this NFL isn't like it was before. Those players are only at their beck and call for so long where they can be in the facility and be in different meetings. So they've got to understand what their players can do. They also have a lot of holes you need to fill. I mean, from an offensive line perspective.
Let's start there, please, man. We need protection.
Let me interrupt you real quickly on this. And as a professional, I think Ken can speak on this. We love hearing what you just said. Patience, give some time. But why not, Commanders, be like the Houston Texans? Even though you have holes. As a professional, I'm hearing that, and I know I got new coaches coming in. That's going to fire me up to prove you wrong.
I'd
Then
love to
hopefully
prove it wrong.
that we'll be right.
Yeah.
So that's the deal. They got to have that mentality. We need to hear from fans and saying, give us some time. They gotta build. At the same time, like we got some holes to fill. At the same time, when I come in and sign as a free agent, this is a great place to come and play. It's in the NFC East, and we can make a name for ourselves right off the bat. And I love the fans' optimism, but pessimistic. I love that. So that's gonna make me dig deep down inside and say, I want to prove Ted right and wrong. You know what I mean?
And let me square peg round hole. So previously, they had tried, not this team, but another team, Cardinals, tried to make me an inside linebacker because they're like, oh, we don't know what to do with you. Horrible at an inside linebacker. Would have ruined my career. I would have looked like a bad player. It would have looked like that I just didn't contribute to the team until I ended up saying, let me be a pass rusher, and I became a good pass rusher. And that's what the team was last year and the last couple of years, was that you had guys out of position, out of place, trying to do things that they're not good at doing. This new organization, from all that I've heard, is saying, well, we're going to evaluate players, their strengths, their weaknesses, and try to put them in the best position to succeed. So when you start doing stuff like that, then you have an opportunity for, like John said, the first year, you got talent enough to win. We would be happy as fans to just see a good game. Some of the games were just horrible. Some of the games were you were looking at and kind of like, dang, you want to see a good game, but then from what I've seen with the coaches, what I've heard, it's not so much having a good game, it's having a dominant game. And that's what I think we're all looking for during the season.
So to me, the problem is Ron Rivera was coach and GM. He was a horrible GM. He did not set this new staff up to succeed. You don't have a single defensive end under contract right now. So there are just holes that are naturally here because of the past regime. You have almost $90 million in cap space, and you have 5 picks in the top 100, which is great. But you just have to find the pieces to fit, and they all have to mesh well. So I can see us hopefully being in the playoffs and actually competing in 2 to 3 years. But look at
John is John. Go ahead, John.
No,
I'm realistic.
You've been let down a lot.
I lived here.
Right,
I didn't grow up in Texas.
Right? But
It's called PTSD.
right?
It's called PTSD.
PTSD is what it's been.
But you talk about a pass rusher. You can find young, talented pass rushers, and with the coaching staff and the people that, don't forget, Ryan Kerrigan's on the team as a coach. You can find guys and you can develop guys to be great pass rushers, and it doesn't take as long as developing somebody to learn the whole system and all that stuff. That could be natural talent. So some of these things can develop a lot quicker than others, and I think that's what we have. We have some holes with the team, but the biggest problem with the team last year, I'll say it, was the attitude, the way they played. It wasn't the attitude that this is our house, we got to dominate our house, we got to every team, real quick, let me just, sorry, I'm on a roll.
You're on the roll.
You start looking at teams and you say, this team represents, it's the place that it plays. Green Bay, hard worker, Philadelphia, the blue, you got the blue coat people, Baltimore.
Steelers.
But then you got Washington, and ultimately we did represent the culture that we're in. We had dysfunction on the hill, we had all that stuff, and we had the same thing with this type of team. So either you keep following that pattern, or you say, nope, I'm going to put my foot in the ground, and I'm going to draw the line, and I'm going to start a new tradition, a new attitude, and I think that's what we're getting now.
Right, again, going back to the past, you want to get back to those Redskins back in the past. Where they start, how they end up. You got to get that mentality. And again, it's just as an individual player, me coming in. If I was a rookie nowadays, it would be great because I'd make a whole lot more money than I made back then. But set it aside, you're still a professional. When somebody bring you in, boom, I'm gonna want to bleed the blood that's burgundy and gold, right? So I'm coming in at a new setting with a new coach, new coaching staff, new ownership, and why not? That's my question. Why not be like the Houston Texans.
So my question to you guys is, I don't think players are built the way you guys were. I mean, they're sitting there at midfield exchanging jerseys. They're signing autographs. I mean, it's not the same.
with the great
I don't want to say it's not the
comment
same
and
passion,
question.
but I feel that some of these guys treat it. They play football. They don't love football.
Yeah, I do see a lot of guys nowadays really on Instagram a whole lot, even in the locker room.
But
you know,
but ultimately, that comes down to coaching, right? It's going to be, or the coach is going to say, all right, you want to do Instagram and you want to do it like that, but you're not performing on the field. We don't need you.
Right.
Nobody's so good that we can't get rid of you.
Well,
and I think that's been the big difference.
that hurts because the salary cap does have a team hands tied because of
plus
the
draft
situation.
position.
Yes, and also you look at the San Francisco 49ers. They came out the boombox and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, Patrick, my homeboy, he knows how to play football in the fourth quarter or the fifth quarter.
Right.
You got to have that coaching staff to get these guys ready. So now, Washington Commanders, you're right. Ken, you said earlier, the guys were saying practice is too tough. We went through hellacious practices 2 days back in the day, right? We hit every single practice. So we know the game has changed that way. But at the same time, mentality, these guys got to have that winning attitude like you're talking about. Individually, win your games. Percentage of your plays, you got to win most of them.
And you know what the thing is, the great teams have great practices because they practice against each other great. And then when they go to the game, it's like it's candy because you've been against the best. That's what I I won't come back to me all the time, but that's what made me a lot better was when I went against all these great guys in practice. They would knock me down, but then say, this is the reason why I knocked you down. This is how I knocked you down, and you get better. I don't know if we had that in the previous years. It was a lot of selfishness, but ultimately that comes down to the head coach and the coaching staff to kind of weed that out.
Go ahead, Ken.
We constantly hear iron sharpens iron, right? We have this defensive line, all 4 first-round picks.
You must go to church.
I listen to Fred Smoot too much.
Okay.
All 4 first-round picks. But this offensive line going up against them, that's iron sharpened to nothing at that point.
Well,
so wouldn't they have gotten better?
You're assuming that it's just going to be the picks that are going to create the offensive line. We got free agents. There's opportunities to get players, and sometimes all you need is a veteran that's going to be, hey, get everybody in line. You're messing up. Sometimes the coaches don't have to say anything. It's the veterans that will get on you and kick your butt to make sure that you're balling. So you need 1 or 2 players. And I think even Gibbs did it back in his day. He had a couple of group of guys on every position that he could go to, so he wouldn't have to talk to the players directly, but they would be on everybody's back. And that made a big team.
Sounds like accountability to me. I like that.
Accountability is all mental. 90% of it is mental. Where's your mental state? Going into this game, going into the league as a player, am I going to be a part of this piece of this puzzle? This puzzle is going to fit this team. It's mental. You go in there, and what are you doing when nobody's watching? You're studying film. And then you cut the game, make the game slower. You put yourself in position, visualizing and watching this game film, how you can make plays, how you can read offensive line, or how you can read an offensive formation and make a play. I know for me, that was my strong point mentally, breaking the game down to make plays.
So let me ask you this. You got your crew in here, and you got somebody with a Raider hat on. That disrupts everything. Now,
he's a part of the puzzle.
But you need attitude. You need a guy who may not. You can't have everybody following the same thing.
Time, and you can't have everybody following the same.
Yeah, everybody's not going to be on the same page. You need the attitude. You need people. I don't know where I'm going with that, but I just want to throw a jab in on you, right? Because you got the hat on.
He's a part of the team.
He is a part of the team.
He may be a little bit different from Easy Street.
Think about.
And he may say, "Listen, I'm gonna still walk in here, but when it's come to game day or taping day,
do your job.
I got your back."
Think about they had Dexter Manley on one side and they had Charles Mann on the other side. Way 2 different parts of the spectrum, but when it came to work, they came to play ball. So there you go.
So we can always say, "Go Raiders."
Okay, I want to give you each a card. Okay, everybody gets a card really quick. Okay, starting with John. I want you.
Hey, I can't.
And don't reveal it.
I can't spell, bro.
Okay. On the other side of that card, I want you to grade the Washington Commanders' new management And I want you to tell me what the grade that you want to give them, A through F, and why you gave them that grade.
Of last year or what?
Of Josh Harris management.
So from July last year to now.
Yes, give them a grade, one letter, and then I want to know what it is.
How you spell A?
Okay, starting with Mr. John on the end.
I was trying to Google
Show
it.
us on camera. Show us your.
I got it's small though, but
Write a big letter. Write a big letter.
okay.
Damn, he wrote a whole thesis, man.
It says A.
You gave him an A.
Yep, management.
Okay, why?
The reason why, because they make the moves. They've been making the moves from the beginning. Getting out in the community as far as the ownership. Magic and all the guys in the ownership group saying we're going to do this A, B, C, and D. They kept key people in place, And so bringing in Adam Peters, that's another thing. He's coming from a winning program in San Francisco. So they're doing the things to get the right people in place, and they have done it. So that's why I'm giving them an A. Not A for effort, but A for effort of getting it done. And Josh, he said he's going to do some things that are going to show the fans that he cares about his team because he loves the Washington Redskins Commanders.
Okay, Ted, what grade do you give the new management of the Commanders?
I'm going B-. They've made improvements, but we're not there. There have been a couple of just missteps that happened last season, in my opinion. One of them being you raised season ticket holder prices, which I get inflation and things like that, but the way they raised the prices on us, we found out that our ticket price increase was happening 10 days before Christmas. To let us know that 10 days before the holidays are here, we're not millionaires or billionaires. We didn't just throw down all this cash to buy this team. We're just average people. And now you're making me choose between a Christmas present for my family or my season tickets that I got from my father after he passed away, which was a very difficult decision for me. So I hate to say it, but Christmas was canceled this year. My family understood it.
Damn, Ted.
But, just...
Damn, you just killed the whole vibe,
I'm just being
bro.
realistic.
Oh my
That's why I can't give them an A, because they have to understand that, yes,
It's great to get a fan's perspective.
Hey, thank you for being honest and the transparency. God,
fixing the hot water in the stadium, putting $70 million inside there is great, doing all this other stuff, Club 1932, all that stuff, that's nice. But a lot of these improvements that they've been making to the stadium since have not been for your average fan. They've been in the premium seats where, guess what, that revenue's not shared amongst the other owners. That revenue goes towards their pocket. I want to see improvements towards the upper deck, towards the lower deck, and the other people that aren't paying club level prices or premium level prices. Give us some stuff as well that we can appreciate, and maybe treat us with a little bit of dignity and don't jack the price up on us like they did. Adam Peters, amazing hire. The other stuff they've done, well, on the field stuff, that's great. But much like a draft, you can't tell until 3 or 4 years later if it really panned out. So we all like the coaching staff right now and all the pieces they've assembled, but ask me this question in 3 years when we're back here at Ben's.
Okay,
I
all right.
can't change my grade, but I like that. What you're talking
Go ahead, Ken.
I had to choose.
Grade 'em.
I had to choose from killing my dog and I gave him a B+. Here's the deal. I think they've done well in a limited amount of time that they've had. They went out and they kind of were people of their words. We don't know, so we're going to find people who do know. They did that. We're going to find a new coaching staff with the right attitude. They did that. We reinvested in the team, and they're doing that. I think the problem has been that people expect, because the team has been winning so much long ago in the past, and have been used so much in the present, they're expecting things to be great right away, and I don't think that things will be great right away because just of that lag of time. So it's a B+ because they're doing all the things they're supposed to do, but we want them to be Super Bowl bound right away. And I don't know if they can do that. So I'm not going to grade them with an A and say they've already made all the great adjustments. I'm giving them a little wiggle room to make some missteps and to potentially have a good season, but not a great season. I just want to see a hard-fought game. And the games you're supposed to win. The games that you're kind of half and half on, have it a hard-fought game and win half of those.
We go back and forth. And unfortunately, it hasn't fallen on deaf ears, and I know they're making changes. It would just be great if little behind the scenes. There used to be a fan captain advisory group where we would actually meet with upper brass.
Okay.
And they would run ideas by us. What does this sound like? How do you think about this? Once Jason Wright and that team took over, that died. It just completely dissolved. There were so many mistakes that happened this year, from getting the dates wrong on the back of the jacket that they gave you. I mean, just little things like that.
You okay? Are you okay with that? Hold on.
That was a little frustrating.
But I mean, you don't wear it. They gave me two of them. I
You
don't
okay?
wear it. It just
Hey man,
isn't
don't call me out on this.
I'm just saying, man.
Yeah,
Things
I
like
don't wear
that.
it, Ken.
You don't miss.
Okay.
It'll be worth money down the road because of the mistake. It adds value.
That's why I have two of them.
There you go.
So
All right,
I can
there you
pay for
go.
my season tickets by selling the jacket.
But I mean, okay, but you're thinking that, but then also you got to think this is everyone has a transition period. You go from Snyder to a new team, and we want it to be poof, everything's great. People from the old regime, and they've gotten rid of a lot of people, were
that's the problem.
walking on tiptoes, scared to make moves. You inadvertently make mistakes because you're afraid to not make a mistake, and you're going to make mistakes. And so they did a lot of things wrong. But I think what I did like was that in order to correct the past, you got to be humble, and to be humble is to say, I don't know, and then say, I'm going to try to find the people to do. What they did was, they raised the ticket prices, and that stings and that hurts. That's the business part of it. That's been his history of how he's run his teams. He's going to do that. But then what you want to see on the other side of it is if you raise those ticket prices.
Oh, here we go, right here.
Then you better be able to go out there and ball.
You better get some
perform.
wins,
You
baby.
better get-
I need some wins, man. We got the most expensive beer, and now they're talking about the prices going up.
But the price going up is fine, but it's about the messaging. If you would have told us, there were some teams that told their fans in October that they were being raised, not 10 days before Christmas.
I think, and I'm not defending the team one way or another, but I think it's a big organization with a lot of wheels going. People are still talking about changing the name back, all this. There are a lot of things that you got to say on the list of priorities,
Man,
and that's way on
Hold on, Ken. Stop right there, man. They ain't changing the name back, bro.
They won't change it back. They won't change it back to
we want the name back.
Right.
We want them to be named the Redskins. But what are the chances of them actually naming the team back to the Redskins?
Start winning. Call them the Washington Cinderellas and start winning. Big old 300-pound brothers be walking around with glass slippers on, talking about I'm a Cinderella. I'm a Cinderella. Look at me, because winning's gonna change everything, right? So
You don't
names
sound like that, Ken?
Well, if you 300 pounds and you got on glass slippers, you better say something.
Wait a minute. Hold on, man. Let me get that out of my mind.
Get it out of my mind.
I'm only 260.
I see that visually,
ain't me.
and I need to get that out of my mind. John, he's already brought it up, man. What the chances of them bringing that name back are zero, right?
I think zero. Why? Again, just start winning.
Yeah.
Winning solves a multitude of sins, they say.
Oh, now we back in our Bibles. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So,
Wow.
back in the day when the Washington Redskins were winning, there was not a lot of choir boys on the team, right? They were winning football games, and people loved it. I'm not saying go back and do all that stuff or whatever they did back then to win. But Commanders are going to be top dog if they're the Super Bowl champs in 2025, right? Everybody be wearing Commanders gear. Give me the jacket that has the years wrong. Just win.
The only thing that I
Just
hate,
win, baby.
The only thing that I hate, and I think they're trying to do a good job of it, is that for the majority of the people who contribute to the past of having this great tradition and everything here as the Redskins, unless you're one of a few that are some of the superstars, your name, your tradition, the thing that you held on to is washed away. Because you can't really go up to somebody. I can't go up to somebody and say, hey, I'm a former Commander. I can't say that. I can say I'm a former Washington player, whatever, but I can't say I'm a former Commander. So you got to. They're doing a good job of creating. This is a legacy, and this is how we're transitioning out. But it's going to be harder to do that
Yeah,
with
you can
nature.
be like Prince. You can go up and say, "Hey, I'm a commander formerly known as the Redskins."
I knew a little commander named Ken. I guess, yeah. All right.
Before we close out with the draft, Ted, I want to ask you this because me and you have we talked about this on air at Fox 5 a couple of times about the name, the Commanders, and do you still stand by the fact that you think that they're going to move forward with the name the Commanders, or is there any opportunity or chance for us to have a new name under the new management?
No, I think it's going to change. I just think it's going to be time. If I'm the new ownership group, I'm not paying millions of dollars to change signage all throughout FedEx Field when I'm going to get a new stadium, hopefully, let's just say 2028, 2029. So why not unveil that once you get the new home of the team? Wait then. It's apparent that the ownership group has not really used the current name. And who knows, maybe between now and then, we're hoping, I mean, Ken's thinking we're playoffs next year. So maybe between now and then, the name starts to stick and they don't have to make that change. I personally, I'm not buying any new gear. I'm not buying anything Commanders. And I've told this to them because they aren't coming out and saying what's going to happen with it. I have Washington football gear that just sits in a box in my closet. I'm not going to buy any more Commanders gear and spend all this money because I think that they're going to get rid of it. But it's just not going to be tomorrow.
All right, he's going to be here next year with a Commander hat on, saluting people. I'm a Commander.
I love his passion, though, man. He got the passion. Jason really needs to listen to you.
But the thing is,
Well said,
if you go through this real quick, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, on the list of things that they have to do.
Priorities.
Thank you. That's way on the bottom of the list.
Exactly. There's so many parts of this car that needs to get fixed first, starting with the O-line.
Yeah, you got 5 years of things that you need to get fixed.
Right.
And if you start winning in between those 5 years, then people will jump on board. You may not buy the new material, but there's going to be a new fan that's going to jump on board that's going to buy the new material.
The stadium is going to be called Commanders Field.
Right now. Currently.
Commanders Field because of course, the name FedEx is coming off.
Okay. So that's going to stick. You know, if you have a Monday night game, we're at Commanders Field.
I don't think it's going to be Commanders Field once football season hits.
Oh, you don't think?
No,
So
it's
right
just
now,
that
okay.
until they find a sponsor.
Until they find a sponsor.
Because you've got a Kenny Chesney concert in May. They're going to want to put their name, someone else's name on top of that to get money, to get revenue.
Maybe Amazon.
Hey, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. Well, anything could happen.
I'll call up my people and we'll see.
Yeah, get on the line. Okay.
Ben's Chili Bowl Field.
There you go.
Hey, there you go. There you go. I like that, Ted.
Yeah.
All right, our final topic is the draft. Okay, we're in the number 2 position, correct?
Correct.
Number 2 position
Stay there.
behind Chicago Bears. There's a lot of talk, a lot of chatter about the possibilities. Then there's also the whole trade bait thing where there's a possibility somebody may trade up and give a whole bunch of draft picks to Chicago, which still puts us in the number 2 position. How do you think this thing is going to pan out, and what would you like to see, Mr. John?
Well, I would like to see them stay where they are because I don't see them trading up to get Williams. You know,
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams, even though he's
The DMV's own Caleb Williams. The guy that I want home.
Yes, I know. You don't want to give up a lot of draft capital for that.
No, you don't. We already did that.
Right.
I'm just thinking that when you just said that, I'm thinking RG3. Remember what we did?
Right, I remember.
Remember that? Remember what we did? And that's one of the reasons.
Did well.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons why we're in this position now.
Right.
Go ahead.
So you got 2 other quarterbacks out of LSU and North Carolina. You know, Mays and
Jaden Daniels and Drake May.
Yes. So you got some guys who can have a franchise could be franchise quarterbacks. You know, get some protection up front. You got some wide receivers. You got running backs. Hey, you have that. Don't waste any draft capital on trying to move up to number 1. Now, if somebody else does and move up, you're still at number 2. You're sitting pretty. And like Doug Williams said, we got a lot of space. We got a lot of draft capital. We got salary cap room. We're good at where we are. And again, I'm the type of man. I was a 10th round draft pick, 257th player chosen in the draft in 19.
Almost Mr. Irrelevance.
Yeah, almost Mr. Irrelevant. Back now it would be, but I'm just saying, it's all about the mentality of the player. And if you have, hopefully, one of these guys going to be the next quarterback can come in. Not say he's going to be like the Patrick Mahomes, but he can be like a Purdy. He can be like a field manager, as Cam Newton can say, a game manager. But you build. So you have a franchise quarterbacks in the making back there. And what was Tom Brady? 6th round?
Oh, well, come on now. Wait a minute. Don't do that, bro. He's an anomaly. You know that.
He's a unicorn.
Exactly.
Unicorn, yes, but Purdy has a chance to be that unicorn too.
Yeah.
You're number 2. You get one of these quarterbacks who are not named Williams, and there it is. Keep your draft capital. If you want to trade out later on, may get more picks. That's the deal. I will stay at where I am.
Okay.
Go from where that
Ted?
leads.
I want Jaden Daniels. I mean, whether Chicago takes a trade and something happens and Caleb falls to us, I want Jaden Daniels. No offense to Caleb Williams. I'm just a little suspect. The 34 fumbles he had. I mean, Jaden, to me, we've got an offensive line that's porous. The man won the Heisman Trophy. He can run. He can use his legs. We need someone that can make throws on the run. We're not going to be a stalwart offensive line year one right off the bat. To me, he's got the talent. And Dan Quinn was on with Sports Junkies 2 days ago, regardless, this week. And he was asked to just give a one-word adjective for the 3 quarterbacks that are out there. Caleb Williams, he said he was DC. It's not really an adjective. Drake May, he said he was athletic. Jaden Daniels, Dan Quinn said he was a game changer. And that's what I want here. I don't think we should trade. I think we should get someone that is a game changer, that has all the intangibles that you can't coach. We talked about Mahomes taking over in the 5th quarter. That's what a Jaden Daniels can do. Drake May is more of a traditional pocket passer. This is NFL requires, in my opinion, from the outside looking in, someone that can do more than just sit in that pocket. And that's what Patrick did when he took over.
Escapability. We need that. Well said, Ted.
Yeah, he said it so well, I don't need to say anything. But
We just switch seats that time.
yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. You know, you got some issues right now that need to be addressed with the offensive line. And I don't care how great a quarterback you are, if you don't have a halfway decent offensive line, you would be destroyed. Brady would have never became Brady had he had our offensive line. He'd have been sitting over in the corner, beat up somewhere, shell-shocked, because he'd been hit so many times. So I think you do need a quarterback with escapability, someone that has a good arm, someone that has all the intangibles. We don't need to change what we have. We got a good thing going, and the mistake would be, unfortunately, to go after somebody just because they're DC from this area, because that was kind of what the old pass did, because that's great marketing. It puts seats in the stadium for the first year, but if they don't pan out, it's just a great marketing campaign. It's not necessarily the right fit for the team. You got to go for the right fit for the team.
I want to ask Ted, what is your honest opinion? Well, what do you think the record's going to be next year?
Ooh, well, you just stole my last piece. Go ahead. That was it. I want everyone's record. We're going to go. We're going on record right now before we go. And you know what? We're going to start with you, John. We're going to ask you the same question. How many wins do we get? Let's go on record right now.
Well, there's 17 games in the game.
17 games. How many wins we get?
So I'm looking at them go 10-7.
Okay. 10 games?
7.
They gonna beat the Cowboys twice.
Okay.
Okay, I like that.
That's two.
Man. I like
got
that.
you.
Talk
I
about
got
that
you.
time, Moody. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love that talk.
I love your optimism. I'm thinking 6-11. Just being realistic with it. We won 4 games last year. We're going to make some improvements, but I cannot see us going 10-7 with what we have right now. Now, granted, we don't know what's happening with the draft and free agency, so you can't hold me to this, but I'm right now 6-11.
Okay.
You ever see somebody that's been beat up so much, you do like that, Nick?
PTSD right here.
He's
Here we go.
suffering a little bit, man.
PTSD.
And understandably, it's been 20, almost 30 years of that with this team and getting beat down. But I do think that we had a lot of talent on the team. The environment needed to change. And so with that said, I say 10-7 with John.
What did Ron Rivera's record go? Did he go to the playoffs the first year he was?
He did, because the Eagles benched Jalen Hurts because they wanted a better draft pick, and then subsequently got the coach fired. And he went to the playoffs with a 7-9 record.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was a fluke.
It was a fluke.
It was a crazy
Yeah,
year.
it was a fluke.
Man, as a player, I hate hearing that, but you know,
I mean, it was-
happened. Okay.
But I guarantee it's going to be. I will say it. It's going to be 10-7. I guarantee you, because if you start looking at it and you start trying to break it down, defense Problem was that they only depended on the front four to dominate and do everything. They didn't invest in everything else. They were like, front four is so great, we're going to kill everybody. And it didn't happen, and they didn't know what to do. The offense, they didn't start with the foundation. They didn't start with an offensive line. They didn't start with a good foundation, but they had talent on the team that they didn't use. They had, if they'd stuck to the running game, they could have probably had.
Oh man, don't even start. Please don't do this.
So I think
I agree with you, man.
To do well.
Woo.
What's yours?
Yeah. Oh, 8 wins. I'm going with 8.
Hey, what about that Raider?
8 wins.
What about that Raider fan? We don't care. It doesn't matter what you say.
It doesn't matter. Why you busting on him like that, man?
I'm sorry.
It's too late. It's already done,
He's taking the
man.
hat off.
Live from the district. See you next time. Peace. John Booty, Tailgate Ted, Ken Harvey.
Hey, you know I'm joking with you, man, right?
I'm gonna see you outside.
Yeah, right. I'm calling your boys, man. We all Raider City, man.
Hey, you like one of the guys coming after Cam Newton, so you like Cam Newton.
Yeah, man. No, it ain't nobody safe, man. He gonna look at me like,
Mr. Funny Man, meet me outside.
yeah, right. You weren't that good anyhow. I used to watch you play.
He was just the ERW. All they did was eat, ride, and warm up. So that's all they did.
Dude.
Live from the district. Live from the district. Live from the district.